What's good, my dear language learning master? And welcome to a new episode of the Language Input Podcast, in which, as you know, I'm going to talk about different topics related to language learning, all right, in order to help you understand how the process actually works and to help you realize that we can all learn any language while enjoying the process every step of the way. That's right. I'm totally convinced by it, you know. And well, overall, we've always been told that we have to learn a language by memorizing vocabulary, by learning grammars and so on. And we've all been witness. I mean, we've all witnessed the fact that that approach doesn't work, right? And it's made so many people give up on languages that my main goal with this podcast is to, like I said, to help you understand that that's not the way to learn languages, and to help you understand how the process actually works. All right. And with that being said, and before getting into today's topic, as usual, I want to remind you to leave your comments down below if you're listening to this on YouTube or any other platform where you can leave your messages. And with your opinion on today's specific topic, any question you may have when it comes to the language learning process, any topic you want me to create an episode on, just whatever comes to your mind related to language learning, feel free to go ahead and leave a comment. And so let's get into today's topic then, after the intro. And today I want to talk about music. About the pros and cons of using music for language learning, or how to use music for language learning, or is it useful, is it not, how can we use it, and so on, right? Like everything related to music. And well, in my mind, it can be actually a pretty interesting resource, okay? But as with other resources, we need to be careful. And I believe it can be extremely useful in some scenarios and according to the person's level, but it can be tricky at times, all right? So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of listening to music, all right? And well, the first obvious pro is, we all love music. I mean, some people love it more than others, but in general, we're always listening to music, right, in our native language or other languages. And it's a really pleasant activity, right? We're having a good time while listening to music. We're kind of singing along, right? So in that sense, and related to the motivation part of it, or to the enjoyment of it, like I'm always talking about, it's an extremely interesting resource because we're going to do something that we're already doing in our native language or other languages and that we enjoy doing, right? So in that sense, it's incredibly useful. Yeah, extremely useful, right? Then another pro, when it comes to music, when it comes to using music for language learning, is because of the nature of music. I mean, because you're probably gonna listen to certain songs that you enjoy a lot several times, right? Like when you're listening to some music on Spotify or whatever that is, that you like a particular song or a particular set of songs, right? And you play them over and over again, like on repeat, yeah. And you always have like your favorite songs and you play them several times. And in that regard, because you're gonna play them a lot of times and you're gonna be listening to the same lyrics over and over again, you're gonna get like a huge amount of repetitions when it comes to those specific structures, right? So in that sense, it's also going to be useful, when it comes to your journey, when it comes to your language learning journey, right? So those to me are probably the two main pros, that listening to music has related to language learning. Like I said, the fact that it's a super interesting activity and the repetition, right? And well, there might be a third one, but it's actually related to the first one. But yeah, I think it's worth mentioning. So because it's an interesting activity that we do because we love it, because we love listening to music and we're having fun. We're enjoying our time while listening to music. I think we're gonna forget that we're listening to a different language. So it's gonna help us stay away from grammar and form, right? Because we're interested in the music itself, and also understanding what they're saying and so on. But mostly, about the rhythm part, just have fun and sing along or dance along or whatever you do. I think it's a resource that's gonna help us forget about grammar and just focus on enjoying the moment, right? And I think that's a pretty interesting part of it as well. And like I said, it's related to the first pro that I talked about, but yeah, I think it's worth mentioning. So in that case, I'm always talking about activities in which you're actually interested in the message, in the content, and not on form, are probably the best activities in order to learn a language, right? Whether that's a story in which you're curious to know what's going to happen to a specific character, or you're actually curious about how the story is going to develop, or you're watching a series and you want to know what's happening next, and so on, right? So those to me are the best resources, regardless of your level and the specific resource you're using, because you're enjoying the activity itself and you kind of forget that you're listening to a different language because you're so immersed in the story, right? So I think that's going to happen with music as well. So that's like pro number 3 for me, all right? And yeah, that's pretty much it, I think, when it comes to pros about music. But like I said at the beginning, listening to music can be tricky at times. So I also want to talk about what I think are cons when it comes to using music to learning a new language, right? And well, the first obvious con is it really depends on what your level is, right? If you're just getting started with a language, whether you're starting from scratch or you're just a beginner, even in intermediate, it's probably gonna be tough to understand what they're saying, what they're singing, right? Because I'm sure you've noticed, even in your own native language, there's specific singers or specific parts of songs that you even have to listen to a few times in order to understand what they're saying, right? In your own native language. So it's not the most comprehensive of resources, to be honest, because there's instruments in the background. They don't speak that clearly in general, right? So yeah, in that regard, they're probably not the most useful resource, right, when it comes to languages, because of that. So we need to be careful with it, and probably I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if our only goal is to use music to help us learn a language, I wouldn't recommend it for beginners. And but as every single resource that I'm talking about, it all comes down to you trying it out. And if you think it can be useful, if you think you're understanding what they're saying, like I'm always saying, go ahead and enjoy it, right? But if you don't, just get back to something a little bit easier, and you'll get there later on, right? Yeah, don't forget that the fact that you cannot understand it doesn't mean that you're not good at languages and so on. It just means that you didn't get to the point yet, okay? So nothing wrong with it. But yeah, in general, I think we need to be careful with it because of that, because it's not the most comprehensive of resources in general, right? So it really depends on your level, but it all comes down to you trying it out, like I said. So give it a try. You find it useful, great. If you don't, no big deal, right? But of course, even if you don't understand it, you can still go ahead and enjoy the music, right? For the sake of enjoying music. Just, even if it's not going to help you learn the language at that stage, you can still listen to, Russian songs if you're learning Russian, for instance, right? I'm just talking about, using it for the sake of language learning. Yeah. So that's the most obvious con for me. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I'd say there's no other obvious con, but that's, I mean, there's only one clear con here, but it's a big one, like I said, right? Yeah, so I could really sum it up in that one. Like, it's a big one because it's not the most comprehensible resource, like I said. So, like what I talked about before, like you're gonna have instruments in the background. They're not gonna speak really clearly, and yeah. So in that regard, that they can be tough for that reason, right? And actually, as I was talking, I just remember one more pro that music can have, and it's the music as opposed to some videos or series. For instance, I mean, nowadays you can actually watch a series everywhere, right? But in general, when it comes to learning a language, I myself prefer to be completely focused on what I'm watching, right? I mean, I prefer that in general, but especially when it comes to learning a language. So I like to, sit at home and relax and watch the series as opposed to watch it on your phone while you're on the bus, for instance, right? But in that regard, with music, because you don't really need to watch something, I mean, you don't need to watch anything. Yeah, actually. So it's a resource that you can enjoy pretty much anywhere, right? So you can be, just walking down the street and listening to it. In the bus on your way to work and listening to it, and in many other situations, even riding your bike or whatever you're doing. So that's an extra pro. Like you can enjoy it everywhere you go, right? But yeah, that's pretty much it. My take on music. Yeah, when it comes to using it to learn a language, and I personally. I didn't use it a lot, like a couple of years ago, but I'm starting to get more and more comfortable with it. I'm starting to realize how useful it can be in specific scenarios. And for instance, I'm recently listening a lot of Portuguese speaking songs, French, Italian, right, Polish as well. But for instance, as of today, that I'm focusing on learning Russian and German, I'm not really listening to songs in German and Russian yet because I wouldn't understand. I wouldn't say anything, but just a few words here and there, and no connection between them whatsoever. So I've realized that it can be an extremely useful resource, but I myself am only going to use it for languages in which I feel comfortable enough to be able to understand most of what they're saying, all right? And yeah, and also because of the nature of music, that it's enjoyable, that it's pleasant, right? So I might still try it out with languages that I'm not that proficient on, but just for the fun of it, for the fun of discovering new groups or discovering a new type of music, or the way artists song and the way artists sing and play the instruments in different languages. I don't know, well, they play the instruments in no language at all, but you know what I mean, right? So just for the sake of it, I'm also super interested in other cultures and so on. So besides language learning, it's also helpful for the reasons I talked about, and just or just to enjoy the moment, period. So in that sense, I might give it a try, but when it comes to using it for language learning specifically, I'm gonna stick to those languages that I feel really comfortable with. Like I said, Portuguese, Italian, French, English, and starting with Polish, little by little. But to wrap things up here, as in every other episode, every other research that I'm talking about, give it a try. See if it helps you out, because this is an extremely pleasant resource for a lot of people. So that's why I wanted to kind of touch on it. I wanted to talk about it a little bit. And yeah, it's up to you in the end, like every single thing I'm talking about. I'm just gonna I just want to give you my opinion on the topic. I want to give you my take on how I think you can use it in your language learning journey, and also my personal experience, so you see what I'm doing with it. And yeah, and that's it for today. So thank you for listening to this episode. Thank you for coming this far. I really appreciate it. And yeah, like I said at the beginning, anything you have in mind, let me know in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to answer your question, to help you out, and you'll give me ideas for future episodes. And yeah, so I'll see you in the next episode, or I'll see you in the next episode, or you'll listen to me in the next episode. And yeah, that's it for today. I wish you a good day wherever you might be, my dear language learning master. And yeah, see you in the next one. Bye bye.